it was, I'm honestly mad at myself that I didn't do it a year ago. Like, the sooner you start, the better, because it really does give you freedom to really do what only you can do.
First of all, give us some context on your ministry, where you're at, and what first drew you to speaking with me about having an assistant.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the pastor of the Grove Church in Dallas, Texas, and we are a smaller Methodist congregation that was planted and launched out of a much larger, significantly larger Methodist church here in Dallas, Highland Park United Methodist. I think there's this model and expectation that the lead pastor is equally gifted at preaching, at being a pastor to the congregation, and also having all the executive and administrative gifts and graces, and can do all three of those things equally well. And that's not the case for me. I lean towards the preaching and the pastoral part. Yeah. And so I recognized that I needed some support to take some of the tasks and the responsibilities off of my plate that other people could be doing, but I was currently managing and doing, so that I could focus on those responsibilities and components of my job that only I could do. And so that's ultimately what led me to reach out to you.
Sometimes people have someone local, maybe even in their office, that can do a lot of the things you're talking about. And that can work as well. But one of the possible limitations of that is that often can be someone who is sort of out front, maybe at a desk that people walk into and they start chatting with, or other people involved, volunteers or staff members, start handing things to them. And so their support of the leader is very sort of to the side, or part of what they do, but they're constantly being, dragged into other things all day long. And that can be a challenge as well.
Yeah, I think one of the other kind of components that to me made a virtual executive assistant, I think the right solution to a set of challenges, was that we didn't have probably the work or the budget to hire a full-time person. Yeah. But what I needed in the role was full-time commitment.
So tell me this, when you first met her to this point, what were some of the surprises about her ability, skill set, maybe some things that, were kind of bonuses in your mind or things like that?
Yeah, sure. So specifically with the executive assistant I'm working with, she had a previous background and knowledge of ministry. And so she came out of that environment. And so there was already a common language and a common and shared understanding of what ministry entails, some of the demands, the seasonality, the week over week nature of a lot of the work. And so that there was not a long learning curve to kind of bring her up to speed as to here's what the rhythms of this type of work entail. And so that was really helpful to, I think, our success. And then also I observed and recognized pretty quickly that she knew more about the help that I needed than I did.
One of the things that I'm always trying to do is, I talk about personally matching people with the person I feel would help them the most. And so part of that is understanding the world in which you're in, the demands of that world, and also trying to find someone who understands that as well. I think she also flew out for like your 5-year anniversary or something like that.
She was so quickly indispensable to the work that we were doing that after, maybe I'm getting the timeline wrong because it feels like she's been on the team for 4 years now. But after a couple of like 3 to 4 months, it was like, as we get ready to celebrate our 5th anniversary, she is such an integral part of this team that it would be a noticeable absence to not have her present in person for that service and that celebration. Yeah.
What are some of the specific things? Let's get specific. What are some of the ways that she supports you?
Kind of immediately when we started to work together, she took over a lot of my correspondence my calendaring and scheduling. And so she quickly implemented systems that allowed me to kind of block my time in ways that optimized when and how I like to work. So I do my best sermon prep, any type of like copywriting that I need to do for an email or some material that we're creating, for the church. I do my best work in the mornings. And so she was able to help me think through, how do I organize my calendar so that my mornings are protected? We carve out time to have all of kind of the team meetings and direct, one-on-one conversations and check-ins with my team that I need to have, and then also create space for like pastoral care kind of windows to meet with congregants or whatever, visit a hospital, whatever I needed to do. So kind of the three major categories of my job, she helped me organize my calendar around those three primary kind of functions in ways that I got to do my best work in the right windows at the right times. And so that's been really helpful to me.
Are you farther ahead in message preparation?
I'm further ahead in everything.
I'm further ahead in everything.
Yeah. One of the things that working with my EA has allowed me to do is to start to like pull things off the wish list. And that's been hugely beneficial to our church. And so in addition to just some of the ways that she has allowed me to become more effective at my job and role, we started to get to live into some of these these preferred dream, future realities that we weren't going to ever be able to get to previously.
Sure. Was it hard to give someone trust and access to email and calendar and those sorts of things?
Not for me, no, because I knew from our conversations and just from my sense of how this would go, that if I didn't fully commit, it wouldn't work.
Right.
And so for me, this was like an experiment of sorts. It was like, all right, I'm going to totally trust the process. I'm going to totally give myself over to all right, you get to come all the way in and do all the things, because I knew that one foot in wouldn't actually allow the relationship to work. And so I just took a running jump off the edge into the deep end, and it's been worth it.
And you've sent someone our way who's not a ministry leader, who's currently utilizing someone as well, and he actually helps with small groups in your church, even though he's a businessman, which is amazing. So for his unique situation, I was looking for someone who had both professional outside of ministry and ministry experience, who would have the heart for it and servant heart for it, but also be able to do the other things. Again, just always looking for that perfect sort of match for the clients. So what would you say to other pastors who are considering, maybe I ought to try this? That sounds like I'm the kind of guy or the kind of woman who can give up some control, who can let someone in. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I think first for me, it was getting really honest about what I want and about my own limitations. And so I knew the area in which I wanted and needed help. And so if you're able to identify those things, then this is of such benefit. If you need executive administrative help to, organize your workflow, to organize your calendar, to manage correspondence, to build systems and processes so that, particularly for me, so that I could preach and pastor to people, I'm honestly mad at myself that I didn't do it a year ago. The sooner you start, the better, because it really does give you freedom to really do what only you can do. Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you kind of sharing these things. I think it's going to be hugely beneficial for other people as they think about utilizing assistance in whatever capacity, way, or whoever they choose to do that through. I'm glad that we get to partner with you in this way, and that it's providing the relief that you really need so that you can specialize a little more and focus and build up the body of Christ in Dallas at the Grove. And so thank you for letting us be a part of that.
No, I'm so glad that we were brought together and that we have this relationship, and that you have introduced me to my EA, and she's the biggest blessing. So
awesome. Thank you so much, Stephen.
Yeah, you bet, Micah. Thank you.